Yo, Joe!
Hello everybody and welcome to another figure review. Today we have here Firefly. He is already out of his packaging and the background is not letting it focus, but so far I do like the figure. There are a few complaints I have already on it, and I'll get into that later, but here we have the packaging. Here we have his name, the classified logo, COBRA logo. We have his portrait there, which looks very nice. I can see some people complaining that the portrait should have had his face exposed, or his eyes rather than the goggles. I don't mind it, it's just a portrait. And then we have a cool digital render here, and then we have a what would you call it, a hot dog stand, which is a reference to one of the episodes or one of their PSA videos. And then the accessories there on the corner, and it looks very cool, very bright. You have some purple, and then of course all the explosions of yellows and the red, orange on the side, and there he goes. But on the side we have the portrait again. He is number 84 in the line. His different skills there, and then we have digital render, and then zoom in shots of his face, and then the COBRA logo there, QR code on the side with that same portrait there. Little different thing that happened this time, or that Hasbro is starting to do, and that I've seen, is that they're now packaging the figures with these tiny plastic ties, which I do not really love. It's kind of hard to cut them, of course, with the knife. So cut them with the scissors, that's a bit better. But yeah, we do have the black and white portrait there, and then the foot locker that we've seen with these new releases. So very cool. Let's get this out of the way, and then we'll look at the figure. Before moving on, we will be bringing in our other Firefly, version 1 of Classified, that we got a while back. We'll do some comparisons with the accessories, and we'll bring in our vintage one, who has suffered some ankle breakage, but that's my fault. But yeah, let's get into the accessories. Alright, so right off the bat you can see we get a whole lot more with this new one than the old one. I believe this is all the accessories the old one came with. I never did do a review because I wasn't doing reviews at that time, but you do have his detachable drone. Very cool. You have his back piece with different tools and stuff. You also got a pair of goggles, so very cool. A kind of futuristic gun there, and then you had a dynamite accessory here, which you could put on this drone and have it fly around with the dynamite, dropping bombs on the Joes. Very fun accessories. But with this new one, we do get a bit more, or at least it feels like it's more, but we have the goggles with green this time, and then two green, red paint apps there. It looks very cool, goes up in the head, of course, very smoothly. For the RC car, you get this kind of detonator thing, and I assume it's 3 seconds until it explodes, so very cool. You get a trigger there, very nice little antenna, looks very cool, and there's some nice texturing on it, on the handle there, some bolts, and yeah, looks very clean, very cool. The RC car itself is has these kind of spinning tires, they don't really function too well. They kind of get stuck, but you know, they work. And I assume this is a kind of explosive compartment. I can't really talk today, but yeah, tire spin, some nice detailing on it. You can see like some wiring there. Um, yeah, very cool. You'll also get this port on the back, which I'll show off in the storage section. But moving on, we do have a knife. No paint apps for the blade, which is a bit unfortunate, but there's some nice texturing, and we haven't seen this mold yet, so that's nice to see. We do get two mines here, which is perfect timing for this other Joe member who's coming out. What's his name? Tripwire. He's coming out. He's the mine expert, and he's gonna be locating Firefly's mine, so that's very cool. Some red paint on them. And then you do get two holes in the bottom to support them. We get a pistol. Very nice. We haven't seen this mold yet, I'm pretty sure. And then we do get the silencer or suppressor, whichever one you want to call it. And the suppressor is compatible with both weapons here. So you can have his gun with the suppressor or the pistol with the suppressor. And then you do have a removable mag for this one with bullets sculpted on there. And then let's put that back. So yeah, very cool mold. We haven't seen this one either. I will say let's zoom out a bit, but let's take a look at the digital render here. You see that? There's some green paint apps, even for the knife as well. So that's a bit misleading, Hasbro. You know, give us the green paint. Although over here it doesn't show if they have the green paint, but you know, this render here does. So a bit unfortunate, a bit misleading, but what can we do about it? We already have the product here. And then we have the back piece here with some grenades sculpted on there. This is sort of a heartbeat monitor. I'm not too sure what's going on there. And then yeah, a handle, he can carry it there, some pouches, some clippers, some more tools in there. I would assume that's the sort of keypad there. And there's the peg for the RC car. And then there you go, it's sort of molded to go fit smoothly on its back. But that's all the accessories. Let's move on with the figure. Now, the figure itself, I really love how this looks, but you can probably already see an issue here. I'm barely, you know, moving him, and he's very loose at the torso, especially the ab crunch. But even the waist swivel is very loose. I'm tempted to buy another one just to see if that's an issue. I mean, my brother has his own copy as well, so I don't know. Once he opens it, I'll ask him about it. But yeah, very loose, very disappointed in that, because the rest of the figure is rather solid. And not even that, it's super tight. So articulation wise, he can look up about that much, which isn't too much. Then he can look down that much, which isn't much either. He does have his head pivoting there. His arms go out about that much. He does have some good butterfly joints, as you can see there. It goes back pretty good, forward pretty nice. He does have the bicep swivel. The arms are extremely tight on this guy. And yeah, they go up pretty decent. The hands are also very tight, but this is a horizontal hinge, so it should hinge back and forth. And then this one is a vertical hinge, so it should hinge up and down. Mine are super tight. I may need to heat those up to get them to move. The super loose ab crunch goes forward about that much and back pretty good. And you know, still looks pretty smooth once you put it back, but it's unrealistic. You get your waist swivel, you know, pivoting and all that stuff. You can crunch forward and back, but that's super loose. I don't like how that feels. You can kick forward about that much. Probably more with this other leg because it doesn't have the strap. kind of hindering it. You do get your, upper thigh cut, so that's very nice. You do get double jointed knees. Those are also extremely tight, but there's all the range. You get some boot swivel, and then you get up, and then back, and then you do get the ankle pivot. So that's the articulation with this guy. Let's take a closer look at the detail all over his body, and then compare him to the other classified version. And yeah, we'll go into storage after that. So we'll do some head comparisons here, simply because they are different. And there we go. Very, very cool head sculpts. I thought this would look a bit more cartoony from what we got in the digital renders, but so far I'm actually liking it. It's not as cartoony. At least to me, it looks fairly good. There is some skin tone, bleeding onto the mask there, and on this side too, but for the most part I like how that looks. But compared to the Cobra Island one, this one just looks way more aggressive and cool. And the kind of mask had a lot of more detail going on for it, but there's the differences between each one. Happy with both, but if you guys really want to swap heads, which this isn't the same kind of peg hole, but it does sit on it rather well, so you could do that. The grays match rather perfectly, and so yeah, that's an option you guys can do. Again, it just kind of sits there, it doesn't port in, but you can get it to move and stuff, so that's an option if you guys want to do that. And if you guys want to see this, yeah, it's not really gonna sit too well there. Yeah, it's gonna sit a bit too high, but putting this back on the other one and this on here, I like how this looks. I'm just gonna keep it like this. This is our vintage Firefly. But yeah, you can see the drastic changes from, bomber vest to what the vintage one was. And yeah, it's very different. So there's the boots, which even the boots they didn't reuse, different legs, different crotch piece, I assume. Yeah, I assume, I can't really see. Yeah, but that's a different belt sculpted on there. It's different arms as well, and different torso. Of course, this uses a sort of beachhead mold. But yeah, very different to each other. And then we'll zoom in for some quick details here. You get 3 grenades up here, 3 pouches, another pouch. These are in green. Some sculpted on kind of grenades. And then you have the Cobra logo with some zippers going on there. And then you do get your knife sheath there on his thigh. You get some more explosives, so kind of a dangerous spot to put those, but yeah, that is the details going on with this Firefly. It looks very cool. You get the knee pads there. Cool looking head sculpt. So yeah, I'm overall happy with it. That torso though, too loose. Now in terms of storage, you do have his back piece, and back piece is going to store some of the stuff. We have the 2 mines, and there's 2 pegs here. Put you back, and then just port those onto there, and they should stay there. They're not going to fall. Very secure. Like I mentioned, there is a port on the back of the RC car there, and I believe this doesn't matter which way it goes, so there you go. It ports on there pretty well. The goggles, you can obviously display him with the goggles or just give them to a random trooper you want. With the knife, will go into the sheath as mentioned. As such. So that's very nice. We do have a holster for his pistol here. Let's see, put that in there. And then we have the suppressor, which I'm just gonna give. Oops, and I dropped it. The suppressor, which I'm just gonna port onto the submachine gun here. And then we do have the RC car remote, which has no storage as far as I can see or tell. Yeah, there isn't. This peg here is for the submachine gun if you don't want him holding it. So, and then this should port onto his back as such. And yeah, the remote is the only thing that's not gonna store anywhere. So he'll just hold it for now. And that is how he looks all geared up. So there we have him all geared up, you know, rotating on the base there. Here's the other one. I mean, I might as well equip him with all of his accessories just to see them side by side. Alright, so there we have them. We have our two Fireflies. There's the COBRA Island one. I'll see if I can speed this up. It looks like I can, but are you guys happy with this new one? I certainly am. I thought I'd be a little bit more disappointed, but he does look cool. The head sculpted doesn't bother me as much. The accessories are great. Like I said, we're getting tripwire soon, so those mines are gonna come in handy for, you know, photography and whatnot. You know, we were asking for a more vintage look, and we got them. And I'm not disappointed in that aspect. Just to remove these here and see if we can swap out the goggles between the two. It looks like, oops, the two over there. Let's see if it's possible. You may need to stretch these out because his head is much wider, so be careful with that. You know, I'm just gonna leave him with his own pair. But probably if you stretched them out, you probably could get them on there, but I'm not gonna risk it here, and I wouldn't tempt you guys to risk it either and, you know, break your expensive figures. Because they are kind of expensive, especially the COBRA Island one now. But yeah. That about does it for the review. Let me know what you guys think of this new Firefly. I like it. There's some issues, obviously, like the loose torso, the ab crunch, and the waist swivel. A bit too strappy, in my opinion. Too many straps. You know, you have the arm guards there, which I may remove. The knife sheath, which I may just cut off the straps and then just glue it permanently in that position. And then these don't bother me as much. The belt pieces, whatever. But yeah, too strappy in the arms, so I may modify that a bit, you know, make them feel a bit more leaner, more agile without all that gear on him. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably upload a picture if I do end up, you know, kind of modifying it. But that does it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I give them about a 7 out of 10 just because of that loose ab crunch and the missing green paint that we see in the box art. But yeah, other than that, he's solid, so I really do recommend the figure. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in a future video.